Hey, today Throws back in with dates updates, and tomorrow is the first day of rollouts for the new MCOC roadmap. So tomorrow is going to be all about quests. So I thought I'd take this time to make a few predictions and then also talk about a little bit about what I'd like to see, and see kind of how close we are or how far away we are from what actually is released tomorrow. So talking about quests. They talk about a new vision, explore the new direction for core story content MCOC. Now, I made a video on this a while back when they first announced they're going to be doing Book 2, Act 1, and then the beta came out and it was Act 7. But I really think that they're going to go back to Book 2, Act 1, and they're going to change this up. Now, in the previous video that I made, what I said was that it should be a radical shift, right? So what should happen is you go in and you can see all 6 quest paths, and you can do them in any order you want, right? And so the rewards for each quest path would be the same regardless, and then completing and exploring would have significant rewards. And the reason for it is that in Book 2, Act 1, you would not you would not have your champions locked out from AQ and AW and whatnot. So your champions wouldn't be locked out from other events. So if you were using Corvus Glaive, for example, in Alliance Quest, you could also use him in Book 2, Act 1, right? But here's where I think that they should go about it. You see, and one of the big complaints is that people don't want to rank up heroes. They want to save their resources for a handful of heroes that you're only ever going to use in this game, right? And so there's 180 or 190 champions or whatever there is now in this game. And let's be honest, most of us are hunting for 10 or 15 tops. We want a good attack defense team, or tag team for war. We want a good defense team for war. If we have that's 8. Alliance Quest would be another 3. And then, so you're at 11, and then 5 to 6 for questing, which would be at most maybe 20 total champions between your 5 and 6 stars that you're really gunning for. And in the video that I made before, I stated that it seems goofy and silly to go get these champions and really only to level them up or rank them up for maybe the solo events in level up and rewards and advancement rewards. I think that's not really the point of the game. You're collecting, but you also want to use some of these heroes. Some of these heroes are great champions, and we never get to use them, or we can use them, but there's not a point because it makes the game harder. So what I'd like to see in Book 2, Act 1 would be each quest line has 4 mini bosses and a final boss, right? And then before each mini boss, there's 4 fights. And in that 4 fights, that mini boss, that's a quote-unquote path, right? And you can take in whatever 5 champions you want. But once you've used those 5 champions, once you've completed that quote-unquote path, then those champions are locked out from the rest of the act, right? So you wouldn't be able to use them again for that act, okay? And what that would do is, if you had 6 chapters to an act, right, then you'd essentially have to use 150 heroes to get this down. So this would take a while. I mean, you'd have to level up and rank up champions. You'd have to really think about synergy teams. But here's the caveat, is that you can do it in any order you want, right? So I could do the lower path on questline 1 and the lower path on questline 2, right? And I can scout them all ahead. I can map out and plan out however I want to do it, right? So I could take a Daredevil World team with Elektra and Kingpin and Daredevil, and I could take that into a set of 4 or 5 fights and then a mini boss, and then they're locked out. And then I could take an X-Men red version or an X-Men blue version or whatever, right? And then I can take, the Thanos, Corvus Glaive, Ebony Maw. I could take a group of that for a quest line, right? And so I think that would make for a very different and interesting challenge, right? I'd love to see it because now you've got, in order to complete an act, you got 150 champions. And listen, you could give bonuses for doing certain paths with certain champions, right? Like the Daredevil type of champions, right? And it would make it a little easier if you took them in there, right? So I think that there's a very easy way to go about doing that, right? It would mean that you'd have less fights per quest line and per act and chapter and whatnot, but now you have to use all of your champions. Now, would that be easy to do? Sure, right? There's no new code involved in that. They already have where some champions are locked out, right, of things. It wouldn't be overly difficult to do. Do I think they're going to do that? Probably not. I think that would be amazing. I think it would be a very fun feature. I think it would bring in a role-playing type of thing into this because, back in the day when World of Warcraft was at its peak, you had to have certain types of classes and specs and all this stuff, and it made it challenging to find that, right? And so now, while one path may be easier or harder to do, you could go in and do another path, right? While you're waiting for the champions or the rank up resources to take champions that you want and do another path. Okay? So do I think they're going to do that? No. What I think they're going to do is I think they're going to have something to the effect of where you can go in and choose, right? They're all, a lot of the big push now is the choice to do things, right? They're coming out with these 10 hero Nexus crystals. And I think they're going to have, we'll get to this later, but I think they're going to have Nexus crystals much more prevalent in the game, right? Not just on rare deals or very, very hard content that you complete. I think they're going to be a much more commonplace feature in the game. But what I think they're going to do is I think that in a quest line, you're going to get to choose multiple different nodes that are going to apply to the quest, to the whole quest, right? And then you're also going to choose buffs. So I think that's a different direction. I think that they kind of saw that a lot of people like the incursions aspect of things, right? But with that comes a cost, right? Kabam always seems to take 2 steps forward, 1 to 1.5 steps backwards, right? So instead of just giving you an incursion where, the attack values are tough because they've learned that from Act 6, they're going to scale back the attack values, is that, you're going to get to choose a node that you're going against, and you may get to choose a buff as well, right? And that might make the game more interesting and intriguing. You never know what you're going to get as a selector of 3 choices, for example, kind of like what they've done with the MODOK Hotel. Only if they do that, let's pray that they do, when they don't do like re-rolls or something, right? Because on the re-rolls, I just keep getting the same thing over and over again. So that's what I think they're going to do with the new vision, with the direction for the core story content in MCOC, and Book 2 Chapter 1, what I would have liked to have seen. So let's hope I'm right to some extent in that, but we'll see. So Act 6, all the changes coming to Act 6. Bye-bye attack values, hello to the fresh champion fight. No idea what the fresh champion fight is going to be. Obviously, they're going to scale back that last 10% and figure something else out, because right now you can only take, there's only 2 or 3 champions that can realistically do that last 10% without having to spend a lot of resources. So no expectations there, but one of the biggest things I think is coming to Act 6. I think, we've already talked about they're going to do something with rewards, but I think the big change that they're going to do is they're going to allow 4-stars in there. I think that's been a big complaint. You know what I mean? You've seen all these push with 4-star deals lately, and you have all these 4-stars, and you can't use them, even for synergy. They may even do something in the fact of you can bring a Forster in, but you can't use them. So you can use them on synergies, but you're locked out from actually fighting. I don't even know if that's possible, but or how difficult that would be. But I think they're going to allow Forsters in there. I think people are frustrated and tired that, for example, on my mini account, there's no way I can get Cavalier before the 4th of July because I can't take Forsters in there. I think I have the 4 stars at rank 5. It would take me some resources to do, but I think I have the reason. If they're going to lower the attack values, which they say they're doing, I think if I could bring in 4 stars, I could take down X6. Might take a while. I'm going to have to say some revives or use some units on revives, but I think I could get Cavalier before 4th of July if I could take 4 stars. But I only have 2 5 stars on that account. King Groot and Yellow Jacket. What good are they going to do me, right? And I'm not ranking them to rank 4. It's ridiculous. So I think that's going to be the big change in Act 6. Obviously, they've already said they're by attack value, so I think that it's going to scale to what you are bringing in potentially, right? So, it's going to scale towards your pie a little bit better. But that's what I think. Variant 5, I think that Variant 5 is going to be all about the hashtags. So you're going to, because I think everybody loved the 1 star for paths, 2 stars for paths, 3 stars for paths, 4 stars for paths, right? I think this time it's going to be all about hashtags, right? Like one path is going to have to be, you're going to have to take all female champions, or one path is going to be, all, because they've done stuff where, gates like mystics and whatnot, but it might be all villains. You know what I mean? So you have a wide range of villains, or all XL champions, or all small champions, right? I think you're going to see something to that effect with Variant, because I think a lot of people really enjoyed, kind of being, not necessarily forced to use their 3 stars, but a lot of people had all these 3 stars and 4 stars ranked up really high, and they hadn't used them forever, and now they got to go use some of the champions that they ranked up that were good and aren't necessarily bad now, but they have better 5-star champions and a different variety. And so I think that's what you're going to see in the Variant 5 is that it's going to be all about the hashtags for that. So the rewards boost. Cavalier difficulty. So Cavalier difficulty, I think they're going to roll it out with the September event, right? I think they're going to use the July event. They've already said they're going to bring in the next event quest kind of a thing to test out the difficulty level and see how it's good, right? And then from there, I think they're going to use the August event quest. They're going to have a beta, right, to kind of see how people respond to it, right? And then they're going to release it in September. I know people have said at the earliest October. I think that they've been messing with Cavalier difficulty for a while now in the background of what they do, and I think that they, there's been a big push for it, and it just keep people talking about it. So I think they're going to get it out by September. I think that's what they're going to announce. The rewards boost rewards for Abyss and Beyond. So let's look at these. So I pulled up in here the Abyss. On the special quest. So let's go to Abyss of Legends and go to quest rewards. And I think what you're going to see is I think you're going to see a boost to these. Now, what I think you're going to see is if you'll notice, this is a tier 5 class Catalyst Crystal. I think these are going to be selectors now, right? In this exploration, I think you're going to see either one selector and one RNG, or 2 selectors. I think you're also going to see a selector here in this one up for completion. I think they're going to send those out. I think that they're going to take these completions, and I think that they're going to also give a 6-star Nexus Crystal with it. I think people are wanting that, right? I think that's where the game is headed. I think that's where the direction for rewards are headed. I think they're going to reward those people for those kind of things, right? I also think they're going to take this 50 signature stones and move it up, and I think they're going to put 100 signature stones down in the exploration. I just think that, a lot of people are getting to the point where they got 15, 20 6-star champions. If you're in this realm of completing or exploring this, and you need signature stones, I also think you're going to see a tier 5 class Catalyst maybe like a fragment shard along with this, something to that effect. I think that this right here, this 5-star awakening gem will be a selector, because even though this is a generic, you can use on anybody. I think that they're gonna go ahead and buff that, and if you've already explored it, they're gonna give you both, and so they're just gonna add it to it, right? So once you complete it, you're just gonna get it, right? So that's where I think we're gonna go with that. But I also think they're gonna update the Labyrinth of Legends, right? I think there's a lot of people that haven't actually just explored Labyrinth of Legends, right? I know I haven't. I mean, if you look right here, I've completed it. I've done one path, because to me, I don't need a generic 5-star awakening gem, right? I mean, 105 stars, 106 stones, that's great, but every time I open up large amounts, I get a very even distribution of signature stones. Every time I open a large amount of them. I opened up 133-star signature stones, and I got 40 of each, and then a few more on some, right? I mean, it's a very even distribution of them. And these tier class catalysts, I have 170 tier 4 class catalysts just sitting there in my bank ready to open, right? And I don't really need the Ultron. I mean, yeah, the 45,000 5-star shards would be great, but I'm not hunting 5 stars right now. You know what I mean? So what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to buff these. I think that they're going to take and add 6-star shards, like 10,000 to the completion. I think they're just going to give those people who already have it. And then exploration, I think that they're going to take and scale down the 45,000 5-star to 30,000 and give a Nexus Crystal on top of that, right? And if you've already done it, you're going to get the Nexus Crystal in your mail. But I also think they're going to take and give a 20,000 6-star shards, or a featured 6-star, or a Nexus 6-star crystal in here. This is still, I mean, while Labyrinth of Legends isn't nearly as hard as Abyss of Legends is right now, like, it's still a challenge. I mean, there's still, I'm not going to necessarily go through and just blow I have Aegon at rank 5, and I'm not going to go blow through all of Labyrinth of Legends like it's a cakewalk. It's still a tough challenge, and there's still a ton of fights, and they're still really hard. So I think you're going to see them add 6-star shards in there. I think you're going to see them add 6-star signature stones. Maybe some tier 5 class catalyst fragment crystals. I mean, even if they're RNG based. I mean, I know right now, if you threw some 6-star shards in there, if you threw, for exploration, if you threw tier 5 class catalyst fragments in there, I'd be much more enticed to go back in there and try to explore it relatively quickly, because, I do have the champions to do it now, and I think that, but I don't have any incentive. I mean, 45,000 5-star shards isn't going to help me out a lot. I mean, 8 tier 2 alphas, I've got tier 2 alphas in my overflow. It's really easy to get those in glory. I mean, I have 2 generic 5-star awakening gems and 1 or more of every class right now, just sitting there waiting for 5-star champions. So I think they need to do something to entice people to go back in there and finish this up. So that's where I think we're at with that. And then the boss rush, I actually think that they're going to start doing a boss rush once a week. I think they're going to have random boss rushes once a week where, you get that 10,000 5-star shards, right? They'll be challenging, but I think they're going to be once a week. I do. I mean, I think that people are right now, they're starved for content, you know what I mean? And even if it's just another little challenge that you can go in and do when you've grinded arenas, you're done with that for the night, you finish all your event quests in the first couple of days. I mean, if you got one of these a week, it's going to even if it takes energy, I think it's going to stretch out how you do your event quests, how you do story quests, So I think you're going to see that. And then the and more, I'm very curious about the and more on the with boss rushes. I think that you're going to see once a month. I think they're going to start doing the whole celebrity challenge thing again. We haven't seen one of those in a long time. I think it's been over a year since we've seen one of those. So I think you're going to start seeing those once a month, or maybe bi-monthly. So anyways, that's what I think is going to happen tomorrow. So we'll see. I've got my predictions down. We'll see how accurate or how wildly off the mark they are. And thank you guys for listening. If you like what you saw, like what you heard, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and I will come back with a video tomorrow after we get the release of all of the content updates. Thanks, guys.